Oh, well, then it's different.
But I thought maybe it was the same situation.
No, not worried about me. They already got everything. They're gonna come and get it.
They're only for the ones that we're probably taking.
And it's probably basically her apartment.
But it's got all the names.
Yeah, the thing about it is they paid it. I think that they were not the only people that bought it. But the new people told me to call.
Yeah, I hate that. But I'm telling you, I'm on the great. Real close to that one.
And I knew that they all in here. You see,
That's another 5,000 acres.
roll off trucks and fall like that. Right now, only took what, 5 months? Yeah, yeah.
I have a lot of stuff for the ground.
No, Brett worked on it all weekend. I mean, the big portion. It's all the bushes and
I explained to him what I was trying to do, and he gave my phone number.
I called twice now in the city to send somebody out.
Give him my number.
They haven't like
Really.
So the codes were.
Well, that's pretty cool, yeah. And I've been doing that.
Okay.
Okay. It is 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. Hello. So we're gonna go ahead and open the meeting. I have asked Commissioner Hope if he would lead us in prayer, followed by the Vice Mayor with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm ready if you're ready.
For those that'd like to participate, please stand and bow your heads. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we graciously and humbly thank you for the opportunity to meet safely and freely with our staff, contractors, guests, and community citizens this evening. Please provide us the patience to listen well, wisdom to discern clearly the business before us, and make decisions that are best for all within our community. We thank you for keeping your hand over us during the passing of the recent storm, and may we remain mindful of those surrounding communities who did not fare well. May you remain with all our first responders who keep us safe and well 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Remain close also to all our men and women in uniform throughout the world who ensure our freedoms at home. Be with their families and provide them with assurance for their safe return home. Please bring peace and resolution for all the strife and unrest amongst our brothers and sisters in Israel and the Middle East, as only you can do. For all of this, we thank you as only your omnipotent strength can provide. May we remember that if we pray for anything according to your will, we already have what we pray for the moment we ask it. We do not know exactly when it will arrive, but may we learn to leave this in your hands. With this thought, may we reflect on your word in Isaiah chapter 65, verse 24. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet not speaking, I will hear. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's okay. Thank you to the both of you. See? All right. Additions or deletions?
None from the staff, ma'am.
Okay. None? Commissioners, nothing? Okay, adoption of agenda. Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Hope and a second by Vice Mayor. Commissioner discussion on the motion. Public discussion on the motion. Seeing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. Consent agenda, which includes 3 items: approval of the minutes from July 8th and July 15th, and transaction list by date.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Hope and a second by Vice Mayor. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. Tony, any idea of when we're gonna, the transaction list? That only includes basically the checks that I signed last month. Are we ever gonna get the bills presented and profit and loss?
It's probably still in back.
We haven't had a bill, the bills in a while.
Is Cindy back there?
We haven't had a profit and loss in a while.
No, there's.
Good evening,
Good
Cindy
evening.
staff. As far as the profit and loss, I can give you the profit and loss from QuickBooks, but it's not going to have income. I can give you the income from Edmunds, and I did provide what is in the budget. Transaction is the up-to-date as of right now for each line item.
So we know the bills are paid if we count them all up. We don't know what we've got in the bank, where we stand financially.
No, and I didn't have time to provide all the bank statements this time, no.
And that's been going on for
Bless you.
6 months at least. And tonight we're gonna look at a budget without this stuff.
Without what?
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying.
I
Then
said,
realized.
and tonight we're gonna look at the budget without a profit and loss, without knowing what we've got in the bank, where we stand today, but we're gonna do a budget for the.
That's on your, that's on that list.
But we don't know what we've got right now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I don't understand the question.
You done? Anybody? Commissioners? No. Public discussion on the motion.
I have,
You have a question?
I do have a question, Cindy. I'm sorry. To move what's in QuickBooks to Edmunds, is that what are you still working on trying to get it moved over? Correct, okay.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. I walked in late and I didn't never hit a motion or nothing. Was it?
We're on the consent agenda. So those three to accept the minutes from July 8th, July 15th, and the transaction
Or it's
list.
just the minutes and the, okay.
Yes,
I heard something about the budget and I didn't know where you were.
yes, ma'am. You're welcome. That's it? All right, any further public comment on the motion? No? All right, let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed
I'm
likewise.
sorry, say aye. I was looking at something.
You meant to say aye for it or against?
Mhm,
Okay.
for.
All right, so motion carries 5-0. We're at guest, agenda item 1, Felicity from Kinley Horn.
Good evening, Commission. Felicity Appel, Kimley Horn. Happy to see you all again this month. I believe the memo for this month was provided in your packet, so I'll just do a quick run through that, and then as always, happy to answer any questions. The community center that we've been working on, attached to your packet was the 60% site plan. That's pretty much the final layout. We do still have to finalize the septic tank location and that sort of thing and get the stormwater permit, but we're very close to finishing that work that you all approved at the last meeting, so working hard on that. The architect did submit their building permit, so permitting is underway on that one. For the water system, we have submitted the permits to the permitting agency, just waiting on them to provide any comments or approval. No real movement on that project. Same with wastewater, we do have our permits submitted and all of our funding applications for construction submitted. I believe in a previous memo I had said that the DEP meeting was in August. I apologize, I was incorrect, it's actually September. So I won't have that information at the September meeting because it's the second week of September. But we'll provide that to you as soon as it's ready, and the water quality grant, those awards are expected to be announced in November still. So no major changes there. We are still waiting on the Army Corps flood study. They did deliver those preliminary results as I explained last month, but they have not finalized their future modeling where they implement their suggested improvements, whether it's additional culverts or stormwater ponds or things like that. They still are on schedule to provide that in September, and do know that you all would like them to come present those findings to you all and the public whenever they have that finalized. So more to come there. And I believe it was last meeting or the meeting before, the ADA plan for City Hall did come up. And Tony and I dug into it a little bit. And there was a CDBG grant that was done by another firm that one of the requirements in there was for the city to do an ADA transition plan for this building. We could not find anywhere where it had been passed. It has to be passed by resolution. So I did send Tony the draft of the plan. And so that's something that's being worked on, but it's not on your agenda, so it's not finalized yet. But that's really all of the engineering related updates that I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions, commissioners?
Yeah, I have one, Felicity. This may be directed more to Tony than you, but have we been able to post these updates on the website? As citizens have asked, just, the timeline and the points, like what she just presented to us, is that available on the website?
I'm not sure. I did.
Sounds like she said yes in the back.
Okay.
Sounds like
We did work on some frequently asked questions.
Yes.
I'm not aware if they made it to the website or not, but it does sound like Deanna's saying yes,
So
so
we
she
do
must
have the
have.
fact section, so if somebody posts a question, there's a
Yes,
down where you
yeah,
can
based
ask
on
regarding
my
this
understanding
project.
of the questions that I get asked most frequently at these
Right.
public meetings. So,
Okay.
if,
All right, thank
anything
you.
needs to be added, please let me
Thank
know.
you.
All right, thank you. Oh,
I did have a question, but it wasn't about any of these projects. It was about another project that I was kind of looking at. And I wanted to know, how do the grants work? Because I was looking at the community center, and we had discussed this about a year ago about the gazebo.
gazebo.
But I want to know if we can get a grant for, and I don't know how we need to do it, it's something that we need to vote on or whatever, to get kind of like a pavilion that you can have a wedding outside, because then we can rent more if they're going to use both.
Okay.
So I wanted to know, how can we look into a grant for that?
Yes, so I think a while back we had talked about potentially doing the T-Mobile grant for that one, and then the city ended up submitting for a dog park for the T-Mobile grant. You can only do one at a time. But if it's the will of the commission, you can direct me, Kimberly Horn, to look into other available grant opportunities, and then we could provide those to Tony. What we've done in the past is kind of list the opportunity, what the cost would be, if any, to complete the grant application, if there's any required match or anything like that. So that's something that we could look into.
Any other questions, commissioners? No? Felicity, do you mind if the public have any questions for you?
No, I don't.
All right, so if there are any public questions for Felicity, same rules apply.
My question is the CDBG grant.
Yes.
I didn't quite hear everything you said, but I'm assuming that you can apply for that to help with the ADA compliance. Is that what I heard?
ADA compliance.
So, if you don't mind, just for the record, there was a CDBG grant that the city previously obtained,
Right.
and one of the requirements in there was for the city to have a ADA transition plan. It did not provide funding for it. It was just saying, if we give you this money, will you do this?
Oh,
Sort
I
of thing.
I
Yes.
see. Okay, I didn't quite get that. One other question is the building that's gonna go up in Holly Hills. I think I heard a long time ago that the water would be going in the ground. I think that's what Mr. Hammond said or something. Where's that water going, the runoff, the retention water?
No problem. If you look right here, this was provided in the packet. It is the site plan. Right here, these little concentric, not quite circles, that's a stormwater pond. So that's designed to catch all of the runoff from the impervious area, which would be his parking area and the building there.
Okay, and that stormwater pond is located where?
Well,
Is it
next to
next?
the building, up here's like the baseball field. Here's kind of where that treat area is. This is the highway down here. That Public Works building is right here.
So
it's
in
kind
other
of
words, it
west.
will have its own retention pond?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, could you give your name for the record, please?
Oh.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Roberto Lopez.
Good evening, Bill Lewandowski. What happened to the funding for the sewer? I had read somewhere that the governor had done a line item veto for the funding. Is that correct?
I hope not
No.
either.
The governor did veto a $500,000 line item that the city of Newberry was requesting for their construction.
So that doesn't impact the
It
connection?
does not, no,
Okay. Does it impact anything with us?
not to our knowledge.
Okay, okay. Okay, so the second question is, we had talked about having, and I wasn't sure if that was with you or your prior person who was doing consulting. So if I get the wrong one, then forgive me. So, what is the status of having the public workshop on zoning ordinances and zoning? We talked about this, I think, at the June or the May meeting, and we said at this meeting, you were going to have a vote on having those workshops. So, if you want, I can withdraw that and come back at public comment, but that's my question.
I don't remember saying that at this meeting we were gonna do it. I do remember saying we needed to definitely discuss it, and so we can discuss it. And if it's not,
Madam Mayor,
yes.
Allison McGrath has a memo in the packet on your desk. It came where, and I guess Tony can address it.
It's actually part of my discussion
So we're going to discuss that at the end of the meeting, or
During Tony's report.
in the manager's
manager's
report.
report? Okay, thank you.
It should be in the agenda, Mr. Lewandowski.
Okay,
But
I'll
here's,
take a look, thank you.
you want mine?
No, I've got the full, it was online, I have it.
Let me see what it looks like. Okay, I don't know. No, he said it first. because you look so much alike, right?
You have to say brother.
I understand. All right. Any other questions for Felicity before we move on? No? Thank you. All right. So, again, we are at agenda item 2, which is a proclamation declaring Saturday, August 31st, 2024 as Twyla Robinson Browder Legacy of Love Day. And
The family has requested that you read the whole thing into the record, and I would volunteer to do that for you, but I have the spinning wheel of death on my computer right now, so I'm trying to get it loaded.
it doesn't matter. And I do remember us talking about it. Do you want to read it?
I've seen it. I
Okay. So I guess we did vote to do this, so I will read it. I did get the message about reading it, and I said, of course, I would read it. All right, so it says, proclamation of the City of Archer, Florida, declaring Saturday, August 31st, 2024 as Twyla Robinson Browder Legacy of Love Day. Whereas Twyla Robinson lived gracefully, bold as she demonstrated loyalty and love to those who knew her best throughout Florida's Ocala, Williston, Gainesville, Archer, Hawthorne, as well as Ruffin, South Carolina, and other states. And whereas Twyla was taken from this world suddenly on June 21st, 2018, at the age of 44, as she was hit by an out-of-control car on Interstate 75 while traveling to UF Shands Hospital to work that morning. And whereas Twyla served the community faithfully in honor as a patient transport employee of UF Health Shands Hospital for 9 years, and the Takachali Center as a patient caregiver and supervisor, total of 5 years in Gainesville, Florida, a correction officer at the Juvenile Detention Center of Ocala, Florida, and graduate from Ocala, Florida Cosmetology School of Hair and Braiding. And whereas Twyla was a proud 1990 graduate of Gainesville, Florida's Eastside High School. And whereas Twyla's mother, Felicia Carnegie Parker, has spearheaded an annual high school scholarship and gathering to spotlight her memory, thus acknowledging her family, friends, and loved ones to encourage others to spread love, referred to as the Twyla Robinson Browder Legacy of Love Day. And whereas Twyla shined brightest as a wife, mother, grandmother, daughter, sister, niece, cousin, best friend, co-worker, and classmate, as she was greatest at her just being herself, and was affectionately known as Dala. And whereas Twyla's legacy will live on through those whose life she lovingly touched through the tireless efforts of tributes, memorials, and unending caring thought. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Archer, the city commissioners of the city of Archer do hereby proclaim August 31st, 2024 to be Twyla Robinson Browder Legacy of Love Day, in witness whereof I have hereto set my hand and caused the great seal of the city of Archer, Florida, to be affixed at Archer, Florida, this 12th day of August in the year 2024. There it goes. All right. So, what are we going to do on the 31st? Sounds to me like we need to be doing something special and showing some love. All right, with that in mind, while we're simmering on that, we're going to public announcements. Any public announcement? No? All right, so we have one that is coming up on Saturday, which is a back-to-school and community event at the Wilson Robinson Park from 10 to 5, 10 a.m. to 5. So long time. We'll have a lot of family fun. I've invited the school to also share information with the kids, several different, hopefully, things that we will enjoy on Saturday. Any other announcements? Nothing else?
I'm Ann Green. I want to announce the farmer's market.
Tomorrow.
In May, it'll be 3 years that we've been doing the farmer's market every Tuesday. And our idea is to bring people together in the community because that old depot was a busy, busy place in the early days. And blacks and white, we have pictures where people gathered there to see the train. I wish we had a train to see, but we don't. But everybody's welcome, and our fee is $10, and that's just so that we can advertise, and it's not to make a lot of money, it's to bring people to the museum, because Archer has a lot of history, and y'all need to come see it too. And we're getting our floor replaced, and we're just really, really good things are happening, and we'd like for people to know about the farmers market.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to public comments. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Karen Fiore, before my 3 minutes start, I just want to verify I'm allowed to talk about what's on the budget, on the agenda, correct? The opposite. So during public comment, it's anything that's not on the agenda. So I asked that last time I was in a meeting, and I was told I can talk about whatever I want.
You can talk about whatever you want.
Okay. I don't want to not follow the rules. That's why I asked the question. Okay, Karen Fiore. So I just want to say that I'll talk about revenues first on this proposed budget. This is disturbing, very messy. I don't understand why you don't have headings on your columns. Why would you not have 25 proposed budget, 24 actuals? Why wouldn't you have that to what date it is? Is that actually projecting all the way through the year end? And you don't even total your revenues and your expenditures. Then your backup on 35E is just a duplicate of 35A, so I'm not sure if there was something missing from this backup or not. And so if you look at the revenues, the very first one, ad valorem tax, this is your number one, well, I think number two revenue source for the city of Gainesville. In that very first column, you have $27,000 in revenue for ad valorem. I think you're missing a zero. But here's the other thing. Your property appraiser provides the city with the estimated assessed value, and that's a calculation, and you should be able to get that calculation almost perfect. And then you're required by law to budget at least 95%. And how do you just make a random plug the same as 24? There's no effort made in this revenue calculation. This goes also for your taxes. The Department of Revenue provides estimates for most of all your taxes. You can go online and you can get those taxes. Doing these plugs just year over year is not appropriate. That is not budgeting. That is being extremely lazy. The fuel taxes, communication service tax has been going down for years. That should not be increasing. Again, this is just a random plug that should not be in there. There should have been more effort made. If you go to the Department of Revenue, you'll find that amount listed for you. Also, on your projection 24 actuals, I'm assuming that's all the way through the end of the year. I don't think you have 12 months worth of revenues there. Again, if you go to the department, you should be able to get exactly how much you're getting for those. Interest income earnings for fiscal year 23. What was the reason to budget $152,000? Is that another error? Is there an extra zero put in there? Veterans Memorial Bricks. Why are we still budgeting for this? I'm pretty sure that project has been ended. The water billings for 24, why are they so low? Again, do we have all of what we believe we're going to collect for 24? You can't do an apples and apples comparison budget over budget if I see only 6 months of actuals in some of the lines and then perhaps a total projection of 12 months in the 24 actuals. Solid waste, again, 24 is extremely low. Interest earnings, I mentioned that for 23. So you're required to have a balanced budget. Your general fund budget revenues are less than your expenditures, even if I adjust for the ad valorem up to the 270, you're still a difference of expenditures exceeding by over $18,000. You need to have a balanced budget. If you don't, then you need to tell me where you're getting that extra revenues. Is it coming from your reserves? Then you need to state that. On the expense for water fund, again, your expenditures exceed your revenues by over $61,000. If you're using fund balance, you need to state that somewhere on this document, and I don't see anything on this document.
Ms. Fiore, that's your 3 minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks.
Hi, Tanya Dean. I just found out about the budget like 3 hours ago, and thank God I had a day off because I've been looking at all these numbers all afternoon like crazy, like calculating. The proposed expenditure is 1.5 million. The actual expenditure is 1.3 million. The increase of the budget is $250,000, but there's still a deficit of $350,000. And then if we actually don't approve all of this, there's going to be $500,000 deficit. So this budget, to me, really, even in 3 hours of looking at it, it's very, very concerning. And the other thing is, as a matter of public record, I would like to see the contract that we have regarding this financial program that we use. The one that we can't use, that for some reason that all of our money is messed up and we can't find things and we don't know how much money we have. I would like to see that contract. I would like to read over it and see if we have any out. I know the city attorney has said that you have looked at it. I would like to look at it. And the other thing is, on the proposed revenue here, water cut on, $80. That was me. Am I the only person that joined Archer this year? Am I the only person that had water cut on? Because $80 only represents one cut on. That doesn't look right to me either. Thank you.
Oh, can I just answer her question real quick?
Yes, you can.
So that cut on that she's speaking of, which is only for if you did not pay your bill and you had to cut off your water service. So it's not actual new service. There is a new service line in there.
Okay, thank you.
David Norton, I have a comment about something totally different. We had a big tree fall across our easement on 173rd Court, which I cut away and opened our driveway. But that old cable line, the old, I think it was Southern Bell originally, nobody's owning up to it. It's hanging about 5 feet off the ground. It's fairly dangerous. There's another situation like that where a car hit a pole over there at the corner of Church Street and 173rd Court. None of the companies, Duke won't touch it. The only thing they told me was contact Florida Department of Public Safety. This is going on not just in our front yard there, but in other places. I know that I'm capable of going with a hacksaw and cutting it off and rolling it up on each pole. Is that what I should do? Or is there some way that the city can figure out who is responsible for those old heavy cables and get them out of there? I have a feeling it might be AT&T, because I believe they bought the telephone rights to this city a long time ago, and they're telling me that they won't do anything. So is this something that the city can deal with or not? Because I'm pretty worried about the one hanging 5 feet off the ground in our driveway.
Yes.
And I've seen them along 346 like that. What's the situation with that? Do you know?
No, not sure, but Tony, can we call to try to figure out who to get it? And I think AT&T would be the one too, because for the longest it was Bell South, and then Bell South.
Yeah, so I believe it was Bell
AT&T.
South stuff,
And
and
that's,
they,
yeah,
and I believe that they have an obligation to deal with that stuff, because I think they bought it a long time ago, but they're not telling me that. Will the city deal with that in some way, or should I call?
We're gonna try to find out.
Or should I call the Florida Department of Public
You
Safety?
can also call, but we're gonna try to find out.
I'll call them, but I'm afraid somebody's gonna snag that cable, and one end is hooked to a replaced pole, one end is hooked to a live power pole across the street. And I think something should be done with those heavy old cables that are doing nothing. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Green, and I've been through a real witch hunt, but I know all the witches, so it doesn't really make any difference, and I forgive them all. But when
Me
new
too, Miss
people
Green.
move to town, they want to be accepted and they want to be a part of the community. But this letter reeked of manipulation big time. Tanya, I forgive you for writing this letter, but it reeked of manipulation. But when I of course I talked to the reporter, and sitting beside me.
Okay, so
just a second.
order. And Miss Green, please address us, but go ahead.
I just want to say I forgive her. Because I think because when new people come along, they listen to the loudest slander and slang and silliness, and this is what it amounted to. So when I was asked about that, and then I said, well, there's another person that had a sign in her yard, so then the attorney has to go over here to go to Plan B. And I hope y'all were watching it to know we go to Plan B, and then we come over here and say you can't vote because your husband is in construction. What does your husband do? Oh, he's retired. So, it was just bad, y'all. And but what I want to say about that is I hope you will approve what we were there to approve, even though it came 2-2 and one vote shouldn't have even counted. But I forgive them for doing that. And the other thing I want to say is we're in a mess with our finances, it looks like. But Mayor Bailey, I want you to go to the League of Cities meetings. I want y'all to do your travel because it's important for you to go. And I know last month somebody said, y'all don't need to be doing this. Well, you do. That's where you learn things, and that's where you see what other people are doing, and it's very important. And as far as travel, this is exactly what the witch hunt was in about 2015 when Commissioner White stood before the state audit committee saying that the commissioners were stealing money and had a petition, and we had a state audit, and it cost the city $70,812. And that's what it would cost again, and y'all have an accountant that can do exactly what needs to be done to bring y'all out of whatever situation that you're in. And Commissioner White, I forgive you for doing that, but it did hurt. It hurt really bad.
Oh, I'm
Because it really did. Thank you.
It hurt us too.
Gosh, thank you.
There's an Army saying, and I'm not going to do the first P, it's P blank, poor planning produces blank results. Okay, you can fill in the blanks what that P means. So, when you have a planning committee, and they obviously don't know the rules. I mean, as I sit there looking, and I've been on a planning commission, I've been on a county planning commission, I don't know all the law, I'm not a lawyer, but when I sit there and watch some of the things that happened, it's really obvious that folks just don't know the rules. The attorney, I highly recommend the attorney does more training with our planning commission in terms of what the rules are, what you can and what you can't do. In particular, in my opinion, the planning commission chair needs more training. Okay, period. It just happens. In terms of the accounting system, same problem. If you don't have the right procedures, the right processes in place, you have problems. People come up. Now, Karen is not just a citizen, you're what, a budget analyst, correct? Aren't you a budget analyst?
She is the budget manager for the city of Gainesville.
There you go. Somebody who actually knows what she's talking about. So please, when the citizens come up and say these things to you, please pay attention because they actually know something. We're not just a bunch of bumpkins back here who are coming up and saying, oh gosh, there's all types of problems. Some of us actually know something. So please pay attention to it. Because you know what? Trying to fix these things now really saves a lot of money in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roberta Lopez. I would just like to thank Karen for coming up and really discussing the budget that I saw in the package. I don't understand it, really don't. And I'm so glad to know that she's available so that she can explain it to me further. I just think at this point, I noticed that the budget is in the package for us to discuss, I guess, tonight, or you vote on it or whatever. But I think right now, you need to scratch it, table it, whatever, because it cannot be discussed after what I just heard. It just cannot. And if you do, you would be making a grave mistake.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Charles Tufano, resident. And I have copies. May I approach?
Yes.
Copy for you to pass and a copy for. What I bring before you tonight is my request for the city commissioners to put into a motion to move ahead with foreclosure on Diane Borswitz's property as it pertains to the violation for the illegal violation of the roosters at her yard, which she has been notified on several occasions. I believe Danielle can confirm it's at a point in time where the city commissioners can move forward with a vote to pursue this. It would mean $15,000 in fines, plus, if I'm not mistaken, the court fees would also be responsible by the property owner. This is something I've worked with Tony on for over a year now. It's had a very dramatic and negative effect on my quality of life and well-being, and it should be noted that I tried speaking with Diane personally at the Historic Society on 2 occasions, simply as, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware of this is really having a negative effect on my life, and I would do whatever I can to help you relocate the rooster. I offered to give her free landscaping, just to show good neighborly faith, in that it was just something that had a very negative effect on my life. So I would like the commissioners to vote on that tonight. I believe they can, correct? So I would like you to take serious, because it's at a point now where I think February 25th was when the fines began, and we're past the maximum of $15,000, correct?
Correct.
Uh,
And
I think we are at that point.
If I may give them a
Yes,
little bit of background,
please.
because keep in mind they weren't at that special magistrate hearing.
Thank you.
Myself and Tony obviously represented the city at a special magistrate hearing. Mr. Tufano brought forth, I'm not sure that you were the complainant, so I don't want to necessarily label you that way, but
Yes.
it was brought to the
I was one
city's.
of many.
Okay, it was brought to the city's attention that there were 2 roosters
Correct.
on the property, and the way you all's land development regulations read is that they're prohibited, they're not appropriate livestock. She attended the hearing, so
Yes.
she was there,
She
she
was
pled
there.
her case to the magistrate, and the magistrate produced the order that Mr. Tufano has placed before you this evening. The way the statute reads on foreclosures is, number 1, you can't do it on homestead, you guys are well acquainted with that, this is not homestead property. And number 2, it has to be recorded for a period of 3 months or 90 days. And obviously, as you can see on the e-recorded stamp, May 2nd was when it was recorded. So you're at your 90-day spot on the world is your oyster, really. And to Mr. Tufano's point, it definitely, if not now, we're really close to the maximum $15,000 fine accumulating. So you can foreclose on your lien if you desire. If I may make a recommendation, if you are going to pursue something like this, it may not be a bad idea to send a letter and give her 10 days to respond. I'm not talking about an inordinate amount of time, but before we talk about taking away somebody's property, a last ditch, that just seems to be the way that Archer
I would
is.
absolutely support it. you know, the goal here isn't to take somebody's property. The
Right,
goal
it's
is
the
to get
roosters.
somebody to follow the codes and regulations
Right.
and the reasons we have zoning.
And Mr.
And-
Tufano has said that repeatedly throughout the process, that this isn't a land grab, this is I'm just trying to get you to follow the rules, because you're impacting my
Right.
well-being.
Right, yes.
Okay. All right, I'm passing it around, so
I'm sorry.
everybody hasn't had
Okay.
a now.
I think it should also be noted that at the magistrate meeting, Mrs. Borthsett said that because she was given the 60 days, that she would relocate the rooster to a friend in Orlando, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was either Orlando or Ocala, I can't remember which, but she
So-
did say, and Magistrate Walker Bullock did give her a stopgap period, really, between the date of the hearing and the date that the fine started to accrue, to give her that grace to relocate the roosters.
And she did.
And she hasn't.
He gave her a 45 day
45 days.
grace period. She was supposed to move it to somebody in Ocala.
Ocala.
Right, right, and I offered to help her move it during that period, so I appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Danielle.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just going back to when it was Codes Board. The magistrate does not have to recommend that we begin the foreclosure?
No, because it's a lien recorded on the property in the city's name, you can choose to foreclose on it at any time. With the magistrate, he essentially imposes fines within a certain number of days. There's
Okay, so-
typically a grace period, but it used to be that we'd have to go back to figure out what the fines are, how long they've been accumulating. When we had the codes board, it's a little
Right.
different with the special magistrate, they act as a judge.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna make a motion that we ask Danielle, as the attorney, to send her a letter letting her know that we're going to be filing for foreclosure, filing a foreclosure notice. And, how many days should we give her to say, a month? I understand. I know you don't want a month.
She said 10 days.
10 days is typical
That's-
legal business practice. When I send settlement offers, it's 10 days. I don't.
That works for me then.
And we'll send it via certified mail, that way we know when it gets there, as opposed to handing it off into the void of USPS and guessing as to when it got there.
Then we have done our duty and we've gone above and beyond, so, yeah, that's my motion.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is this like an abandoned property then, or someone else
No,
just
somebody-
lives there?
She lives there with
She
her
lives there.
roosters.
Okay, she lives there.
So we
With
have a,
the roosters.
we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner White, and we have a second by Commissioner Holt. All right, any commissioner discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
this woman's been given every opportunity. If they gave her a 45-day grace
Yes.
before the fine started, she was given that, and now an extra 3 months, is that correct? And now we're giving her 10 more days. If that chicken means more to her than her property,
She
then
can have her
say,
chicken.
thank you and give us the money.
And on top of that, you got to remember she had 2 courtesy letters, and each of those courtesy letters gave her 30 days apiece.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. It might be. She better take it in her house.
If it's an emotional chicken, she should be able to prove it.
That too, exactly. All right. Any other discussion? No?
No, I was just gonna, this has nothing to do with that, but this is just a comment. I wish you would handle what Holly Hills has been calling about, and the community has been, you've had phone calls. No, I'm just saying this, and I'm gonna, no.
Because we on the motion.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say this, if we've gotten this far with the rooster, I hope we can get this far with the complaints that those people have down there as well, because they got a lot more going on than a rooster, with the noise complaints and
We're dealing with it.
all on the, this is vacant property.
It's more cumbersome than I thought. But we're dealing with it.
Public discussion on the motion.
If she had two, Ann Green, if she had two roosters, how do we know there's still two roosters there? Something crows. And you don't know if it's two roosters or one.
Right, right. So, well, it's for both roosters, it's just for the roosters, correct?
Yeah, roosters plural, everyone was encompassed.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, let's go to a vote. Looks like we're done. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. All right, we are going to the planning calendar.
Item A, back to school. Item A, back to school community event on Saturday, August the 17th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Wilson Robinson Park. City Hall will be closed on Monday, September the 2nd in observance of Labor Day holiday. Item C, City Commission meeting on Monday, September the 9th, 6 p.m. City Hall.
All right, old business.
Madam Mayor, before we go to that, it's the September the 9th meeting.
Yes.
And sit at, the commission meeting. Is that the one that we're gonna be looking at the batch plan? Yes?
Yes.
Then we need to look at the, and I talked to Tony about this earlier, the community center. Because, I mean, even if it's gonna cost us a little bit to get the sound over there in the recording, we need more room than what we have in City Hall. Because we saw the amount of people that were here for the planning and zoning meeting, and that needs to be moved to the community center.
How much will it cost us to move it?
Last time it was $2,000.
But it was
So moved,
also,
Madam Mayor, for that meeting to be at the Archer Community Center at whatever cost it is within the range that the manager is telling us.
thank you.
That was a motion?
Yes.
That's fine. Okay. Tony, what were you saying? Although it was within that same week, so you think it was that price because of, okay.
The last time we did something over there with the audio and everything, it was about $2,000.
Okay. All right. I was saying, is that general, or was it because I remember we were trying to get the meeting moved. I'm asking, was it about $2,000 because it was in that same week within a couple days, or is that just their general price?
That's their general price.
Okay.
It was gonna be up to $6,000 to have it, for him to do it for that weekend, and then.
It was gonna be how much?
Up to 6,000 is what I understood. I'm thinking that's what I heard.
You're talking about Mr. May's cost as the IT contractor?
Because he wasn't available, he was gonna have to send someone else.
He had things already scheduled.
And he was gonna have to send someone else, and then he was gonna have to come back and get it back in City Hall, back in City Hall the next morning or something. I mean, it was, yeah.
Let me clarify. The last time we actually had an event over there and we had sound set up, it cost us $2,000 roughly.
Okay.
This last time that we tried to have the audio switched at the last minute, it was going to cost us between $2,000 and $3,000.
He had commitments already. He already had commitments.
Correct.
Did we only check with one person?
Well, our IT people.
We have an IT person. We don't mix
Yes.
IT and IT.
Yeah, we,
Okay, so it has to be the same.
yeah, our
Okay.
people.
So it should be $2,000.
Oh, okay.
Should be roughly $2,000.
Okay. All right.
Madam Mayor, in that motion, it is to ensure that the system is operable. If it means Mr. May having staff on hand, we don't need to have failure.
Correct.
We don't need to have what we've had in this chamber room for this meeting, out of respect to the community.
True, we don't.
And I will disclose that I spoke to Mr. May at the end of the last meeting, and I said, is it possible, and I'm telling you, Mr. Hammond, he said, yes, if I have time, if I have notification, time. So that's the basis for my motion tonight. This is August 12th. This meeting is September 9th.
So what was your motion again? Because
To move our City of Archer Commission meeting for September 9th, starting at 6 p.m. to the Archer Community Center, based on the fact that we will be having the presentation of the CUP.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I may, for Commissioner Hope, it may be advantageous to do the following meeting as well, because keep in mind it's an ordinance, it's gonna have to be heard twice. So for the sake of cost, it may be cost effective to not move it back in between.
That's true.
I will amend my motion to that effect based on the second reading
Then,
requirement.
then chances are, we're gonna have to have another special call meeting in September between the two, September and October, because there's no way we'll get an agenda, a commission meeting agenda in with that. It took, I mean, I watched it, and it was 10:30, I think, when it got over, the batch plan.
It's either that or limit our agenda.
You're gonna have to limit
Based
it
on
down
it.
to nothing. I mean, it started at 6 and went till about 10:30.
Well, we don't
So-
need to have guests, we don't need to have, I mean, there are things that you can do, Mr. Hammond, to reduce that agenda down.
Keep in mind,
Also-
you're in budget season though as well, and you're gonna have
Yeah,
deadlines on
exactly.
those
So that's what I'm
requirements.
saying. We need to make sure that there's a meeting between those two somewhere so that we can address our issues. And if they have to be at the community center, so be it.
They can be.
Yeah.
But because if we need to have both of those meetings over there, it costs every time we move it, right? Yeah. So we might just have to be over there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Plus the police
Do
will
we-
already be there.
True. All right, so. Okay, so
I'm
wait,
sorry,
we're getting
I'm
off
sorry,
task.
I'm
All right, so, he updated or revised his, thank you. And Commissioner White revised her, second. All right, any other discussion on the motion? Commissioners? No? No? No discussion on this one? All right, public discussion on the motion.
Don Hanchey, resident. I just have a question on the, so it costs us $2,000 to switch it from City Hall to there, and then another $2,000 to switch it back? What would be, my question is, if we have to pay $2,000 every time we move it, what would be the cost to have it available in both places all the time? And then just a flip of the switch and that's the one you use. It might be cost effective in the long run to set it up permanently in both places than to jockey back with the 2,000 and then you don't have a timeline, short window notifications and all that. It's just curious. Might be
Can you
something
answer
to
that
look
question?
into.
Or no?
If I remember correctly, the equipment in this room alone was over $15,000.
So he's actually moving the equipment from here over to there?
Yes.
And setting up. The accountant is going to.
Just because I read the invoice. So it's the cameras only. The sound is already over there. We've already purchased that, got it set up. It worked with a soundboard. They have their own microphones and everything now. We used to have to rent it every time we went over to the community center. The extra microphones, the wireless and all that. That part, the sound's there. It's the recording of, in the YouTube section of it, the camera system, which we have to have a regular meeting. So we have to rent a camera and they have to we rent the person to run it because it's more complicated than the system.
So last month, I thought we voted that if we were offline, if the system went offline, that we still could move forward, that we didn't necessarily have to do YouTube. I can't remember what the exact words were.
I know
And you weren't here,
I know
so-
we also talked about getting away from YouTube, period.
Yeah.
Because YouTube is what causes us the issue. There's no requirement to do that.
Yeah, I'm speculating, because obviously, to your point, I wasn't here. There isn't a legal requirement that you broadcast to YouTube. The purpose of recording it more than anything is for purposes of the minutes, so that when Deanna goes back, she has a true and accurate copy of what was said. But for purposes of, broadcasting it out, I mean, half of our cities do, half of our cities don't. High Springs and Newberry do, Williston doesn't, Stark doesn't. So it's really a matter of personal preference. And I think Kirsten and I had discussed internally, whether or not, at what point does YouTube become more of a hindrance than it is, providing citizens access? You've got folks showing up and then it's not working, and then you have to call the meeting, you gotta bring it back. So I mean, that was the discussion we had. Legally, there's no requirement that you broadcast to YouTube.
Right, and that's what we were told. As long as we record it and we can have exactly an audio, and mostly for Deanna.
And advance notice, it can't be that we show up one night and we're just gonna turn off YouTube tonight, and cut it midstream. You have to give citizens notice before you do something like that. That way everyone has access to the public meetings and can come if they want to.
Okay.
That may boost attendance.
Phil Lewandowski, citizen, I would like to urge you to vote in favor of the motion, if I understand it. I know there's so much discussion on it, but in terms of the motion, if I understand it, to move over for the CUP, yes, thank you. In terms of Ms. White's discussion, in terms of only having that, yes, thank you, because it's a long meeting. The developer who was here had, I think, at least 6 people sitting in here. It's public, but it's still 6 guys wearing his shirt sitting here, and our citizens standing out there. So that's really unacceptable. The other thing too is, I'm sure the attorney will tell you, you also have obligations under the public meetings law. So if you run afoul of that, you run into more costs. So you might as well do it the right way. The other thing I want to speak to is I really encourage you to continue to use the YouTube. I know it can be problematic, but honestly, then you need to get yourself another internet consultant to get that fixed. I mean, other places do it. They just don't have those types of problems, but get it fixed. It really encourages people to watch what's going on. And the other issue is that you guys don't have your minutes out until a few days before the meeting. And like with the planning commission and stuff, it could be months before you see the minutes. So if you want to find out what happened, you don't have access to the minutes until right before the meeting. It could be months. You can go on YouTube and you can see what happened. So it's democracy. So please continue to use YouTube. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like the idea of YouTube also. I'll tell you, if I can't be in a meeting, planning and zoning, codes, whatever, I can watch it from home and not open my big mouth and say something I shouldn't.
Or you can open it, and
Well,
nobody knows.
then I might get in trouble, so I like YouTube.
All right. Additional comments? No? Yeah.
I would just like to say, Roberto Lopez, I just scanned this briefly because I really haven't had a chance to study this budget. But
The motion, on the motion.
yeah, what I'm about to say is, if we can cut some of this off of this, we will have enough money to put in our budget next year for use of the community center, IT, and here.
That's, okay, that's not what the motion was about. Thank you. All right, anything else on the motion? All right, then let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. All right, so now, audit update, are you?
I guess I'm doing it. I talked to Caleb, and he said
Okay.
he hadn't been asked to do it, so. When I talked to him yesterday, and I talked to him last Thursday, and he said that they were in the process. They were working on the water fund, that as of last Thursday, Cindy still had not got the general fund done. So he's waiting on that. They're working on the water fund, and they have found a couple of issues that they're working on, so that's where we're at.
Okay.
And keep in mind, an audit usually takes 2 to 3 weeks, and he just got started, and then the hurricane hit, so he was out that day. We're closed on Friday, so it's gonna be
a little
a
bit.
process.
All right, thank you. Item 2, 90-day freeze on raises, hiring, and firing expiring from May 13th meeting. Tony, you want to talk about it? You don't want to talk about it?
This is a request from Commissioner White and Commissioner Hope that you put a 90-day freeze on hiring and firing back in May. This is the 90-day time frame. Whether y'all want to readdress this now, or whether you want to continue extending it until the end of the fiscal year.
Do we need it?
Madam Mayor, I recommend that we continue it until the audit results are received.
I'm gonna second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Hope and a second by Commissioner White. Any commissioner discussion? No discussion? Public discussion
Madam
on?
Mayor, I do have one thing. I apologize. My only concern is if somebody decides they don't want to be here, and we have to hire somebody to fill in for them. What will this do to that?
It's going to prevent you from hiring anyone. It's going to
Madam
prevent me
Legal.
from hiring anybody.
Correct.
I would tailor your motion to encompass that. You're the keeper of the purse. So what you're doing right now is you're essentially closing your pocketbook. You can create stipulations that cause your pocketbook to come back open. You're not telling Tony who he can and can't hire and fire. You're just saying that as the keeper of the purse, you're not permitting any funds to go towards that.
Right.
Right now.
Would you be willing
Oh,
to
so
do
yeah,
that?
that was, you made the motion.
I'll amend my motion to add contingent on any emergency needs as presented by the city administration to this dais for decision. Emergency meeting, just like we have a storm. You call us in to meet, tell us what the need is, and we make a decision. That's our public servant responsibility.
Second that. Will that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
I thought we said that anyway.
Well, we did then, but just then they did not. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Ms. Fiona.
Karen Fury, I have a quick question. So I heard wait for the audit to be over. Are we auditing 24 or 23?
23.
Okay. And your motion is to wait until that one's complete?
And present it to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Is that it? No more discussion on the motion? All right, then let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. All right, agenda item 3, memorandum of understanding for the City of Archer and Ronnie LLC for appraisal of CSX property. Who's doing that?
I will happily do that, Madam Mayor. Just as a reminder, I know it's been a while since an MOU's been in front of you. It's not legally binding, doesn't create a contract. And you'll see, I want to point out a specific provision because I do know that there was some consternation at the last meeting about whether or not this meant we were agreeing to selling the property to Mr. Arnold. And you'll look and see paragraph 4. It explicitly says that nothing in this agreement will bind the city to selling the property to Mr. Arnold. All this is saying is that we are going to obtain an appraisal for the property, at which point you all will have the information before you to make an educated decision on whether or not you do want to sell the property. So that's all the MOU does, is it just assigns the responsibility of the appraisal to the city, pursuant to, I believe, Commissioner Hope's motion at the last meeting.
Okay. You had a question?
Yeah, so they talking about all that property to him, or they're gonna split it like they wanted to for Mrs.?
It's not the right-of-way, it's just the CSX parcel.
Oh, okay.
My understanding was that the right-of-way was not something that the commission was interested in at this time. It was just the CSX parcel.
Okay. I wanna make sure everybody gets paid.
Okay. So do we need to do a motion?
Just a motion to authorize entering into it.
Okay.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Hope. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Vice Mayor. Any commissioner discussion? No discussion? Public discussion on the motion? No? Then let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. Item 4, memorandum of understanding for the City of Archer and Mary Hope for survey and appraisal of CSX property.
Madam Mayor, this is a very similar memorandum of understanding. Commissioner White, for your benefit, the thing that I had mentioned to them is to remember that an MOU is a non-legally enforceable contract. It's more of just a commemorating what everyone's going to do. Both of these contain language that it doesn't bind the city to selling property to anybody. The Mary Hope one is wrapping up a very long project that has been kind of dwindling around, so we're getting really close to getting it done. Essentially, Miss Hope's property passes her property line by like a few inches, but for purposes of ever selling it, it sits on somebody else's parcel. So the goal is to afford her, just enough to get her house into her own property. So this is essentially saying that the city is going to have the property appraised because we're going to sell for fair market value. We're not going to donate, and determine what the legal description of that slice of land is going to be for purposes of the deed, just to save the city money on the back end.
Okay, so the same thing.
I'll make a motion that we do as.
Go along with the MOU.
Yes.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion by Vice Mayor and a second. That was Commissioner White, you said?
Yes.
Second?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner. Any commissioner discussion?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, for the sake of eliminating any perceived or potential inurement or personal gain due to this being my wife, I will recuse myself and fill out the form.
Thank you. Anything else, commissioners? Public discussion on the motion.
Bill Lewandowski, citizen, thank you for doing the right thing. I just wanted to say that. No, I know.
I always do.
I know,
myself on
but
anything.
I want to make that point, and you'll continue to hear me until I move. I want to get the process right, so we don't have any issues, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. All right, any other public comments on the motion?
I do just want to remind the public, I do appreciate my wife's property possibly having proper egress and exit on property that they've maintained as a family for 90-plus years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's go to a motion. Commissioners, all in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 4-0. And we're going to new business. Item 1 is the proposed fiscal year 24-25 budget. And this is the one you didn't have a copy of?
Yeah, I didn't get a copy of that.
Let's see if they got an extra copy back here.
Thank you. You didn't get a copy of the budget? On Friday?
I didn't see one. I wasn't home when it was delivered.
Oh, there's no way.
So it could have been, husband received it, so could have been there. And I'm not gonna say that Papa didn't call me. I thought it was strange that I seen it on the agenda. I'm like, well, I see it. He could have gotten it.
And forgot to give it to you.
Yeah.
All right. So, whew, where do we start? This is a lot. And this is small.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
May I comment on this? It has nothing to do with whatever motion action we're going to do with this informational document in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
I do not consider this a budget. It is a chart of accounts comparison from previous years.
Right.
Where we got into this being a budget specifically because there's no bottom line totals to compare to. I've already asked about that. It is strictly, from what I understand, informational data for us to then proceed with, I hope, at least one budget workshop.
Right.
And I know we're on a deadline, and I know we're getting to the end. We always do this. And I apologize to myself and to the citizens. We do this every year and end up having to rush through trying to get a workshop to have our own input about things, consider expenses, as Ms. Lopez already mentioned. Maybe we could expense something at the Archer Community Center so we could easily accommodate meetings at either place. I want to get off of that. But this in no way to me, and I'm not a City of Gainesville comptroller, out of respect to you, Ms. Fiore, and anybody else that has spoken about the details on this. This is strictly, to me, an informational sheet that probably does have some errors in it for us to then proceed with a public workshop to identify those things that don't look right.
Correct.
Conveniently have our accountant available, non-confrontational, just to talk about line items in a familial manner to educate ourselves as well as public, as well as educate information that the public may want to provide on what they think a chart of account line item is including. And with that, that's all I have to say about this information sheet summary that was presented to us over the weekend
Right.
for our information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I agree with you. I agree with the citizens. Last month, when I heard that we were gonna have the budget this month, I asked for the 2004 budget.
What you asked for?
The 2024, I'm sorry,
Okay, that's
the
what.
24 budget. And I got it. When I compared this to this, the numbers don't even add up. If you were to look at the revenues, the proposed revenues for 2025, let me get to it. Okay. In 2023, the proposed was 249,516. The actual was 213,784.21. But you have for 2023, 20,000 more than that. 232,686. I hate numbers. I hate numbers with a passion. I got this far. Every one of these numbers were different than this. Every one of them.
So
how will this 23 be different than if you're going by actual? I'm looking at the 2023 actual.
Correct.
Okay, well, how can it be different on this one and this one?
Because the one that you asked for and received is from last year, probably about this time, and we wouldn't have all the actual figures well into October. So the one you received is the old one from last year.
So the 2024 actual is what it should be?
That's what's current. 2024 or 2023?
Huh?
2024 or 2023?
2024.
As of when
That
I
would be-
printed this out last week, yes.
269,853.59.
Correct.
And you're anticipating
For next year?
270,000.
I left it that because I don't get it from the property appraiser's office till the end of this month.
Okay. We approved a budget for 23, right?
Correct.
So these numbers should be actual numbers for 2023.
2023 hasn't been closed out yet. That's what we're doing the audit for right now.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that, but not the budget.
No, the budget is the budget.
We do a
That would
budget
be
every year.
anticipated, not actual.
We do a budget every year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, we're doing for 24, 25 now.
Correct.
So 23 would have been 22, 23.
23, 24.
We're doing 24,
I'm confused now.
25 now.
We're doing 24, 25 next year. 23, 24 is current.
Okay.
22,
That's what I'm
23 is, that's where it gets confusing, yes.
And it's very confusing the way you're explaining it, but when I'm looking at paper, it's not so confusing. If we're doing 24, 25 now, last year, we did 23, 24.
Correct, which was
It
for year
closed-
24.
Okay. We closed it out. When we approved it, when we approved the budget last year, that should have closed it out.
As a budget,
That's the original budget line, yes. The anticipated.
And would have,
Until there's amendments, yes, and amendments change it as well.
there should have been no amendments, because nothing was brought to us, if you'll
Well,
remember.
no, I know that.
And,
I don't have what you have in front of you, but it was printed out of the same place.
well, I can show you the numbers don't match.
It should match.
I got this a month ago.
Okay,
I got this a month ago.
because I haven't touched the budget.
I'm just saying, I got this a month ago, I got this Friday. In a month's time, the budget changes?
It shouldn't have.
I didn't think so either. That's why I'm saying, this is not a budget. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Did you approve it?
I didn't see that.
Well, that was last year.
I just got this Friday.
That's when I got mine. And
But this isn't the budget. This is proposed.
This is a proposed.
This is not a budget. This is where we're at right now. This is like your profit and loss.
I can't even act on this.
There's nothing to act.
There's nothing to act on.
We're looking
It's
at.
being presented, that's
it's an
it.
informational sheet
Okay.
as I
Then my
defined it.
suggestion is you look at what is in City Hall as the tentative budget for
I don't know what was given to you
2024.
as a record. It could be incorrect as well. I can't say that standing at the podium. I don't know when that one was printed off. I don't know.
I know when it was printed off. It was printed off last week.
No, I
I
meant,
asked for it.
no, there should be a date on it when it was
Last
printed.
month.
9/13/23.
There you go.
Okay. This when it was approved,
That's when this was printed.
It was presented.
presented.
Yes, the approved one would have been at the end of September.
Okay. So if it was presented on September 30th of 2023,
Yeah.
then in October, we would have approved it.
No, end of
it's
September.
approved.
It would have started October.
Okay.
You have to approve it before the end of the month of September.
September 23.
Or be fined, right?
Okay, what is the date?
Chances are we're gonna be fined this year.
But I'll look at it
Yes,
and see
we-
if there's any differences. It should be
Okay.
identical.
Okay. So,
Okay, I want that back.
so we
Okay.
need to look at a date for at least one budget workshop,
We need a budget workshop.
or two, I was thinking.
There's only time for
But at
one,
least, yeah. at
because
least
it's
one.
between now and
Right.
September 9th.
Brianna's got a copy of
Right.
it.
Does she?
So,
And I would suggest the weekend, so more people can come.
The weekend?
Yep, like a Saturday.
I don't know how that's gonna work.
I mean, I was just my
I was gonna
suggestion.
suggest the 26th, but,
2024.
I'm sorry, if you're just taking
dates.
comments on availability or not, I can't do Thursdays and I can't do Saturdays.
Well, can you do the 26th of August, a Monday? It's not a Thursday or Saturday.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying about the planning,
It's a Monday, you said?
Yes, I'm available then.
That's like, how many? 2 Mondays from now.
I won't be available
Unless we-
on 26.
When is the,
I can give up a Saturday if I have to, a Sunday afternoon. I have to.
could we, Madam Mayor, what is the Tuesday after that would be the 10th of September? What is that?
Too late.
It's a day after our meeting. We need it before the 9th.
That's the day after the batch meeting.
That's also the budget meeting.
Yeah.
We can't do both of them that night. There's no way you can do both of them that night. So you're gonna have to decide which one you want that night. There's no way both of them will happen that night.
What about the 27th?
Madam Mayor,
26.
just for purposes of the batch plant, our expert has already been told September 9th, so if we could keep September 9th as the batch plant, it would just be better for that project.
We don't need,
Okay. Okay.
we don't need to
And
intermingle
everything
budgetary
else around.
decisions on that meeting.
But we're talking about a budget meeting, right?
Right.
What about the
Following week.
Budget workshop.
budget workshop?
The 27th? Tuesday. Tuesday is not good for
It's a
me.
trim.
This is very specific
Yeah.
on the dates.
Deanna should have the trim notice for you guys. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Can she tell us, Mr. Hammond?
The dates.
That's a date certain.
No, year before we got that away from Wednesday, because almost everybody
Yeah,
had
they
powers,
gave us-
but I don't know Wednesday. So the 27th is not good for me, but we'll,
Concerned, but we asked for
I
it.
might just have to do something else. What's the 27th look like for you? It's a Tuesday.
Always good.
Tuesday, the 27th, we haven't made up our mind about it yet, but is that gonna work for y'all or no?
That week may be bad for me,
Oh,
so if I can,
what,
I don't know if I can be excused or not, just in case.
You need to be part of the budgetary.
Yeah, that's what I figured I'd do.
I was, what
I'm not
about,
really sure yet, but right now. that
I
week
hate to
I
do
know.
next week.
What about the week before?
Well, that's next week, so we can look at next week.
Don't we have to have so many days of notice?
Do we do?
She already had it advertised for the 9th, but she's gonna call the property appraiser's office in the morning for
What she had
changing
advertised
the
for?
trim, the date.
That's when we
Oh.
Yeah.
present.
But she's gonna call the property appraiser's office in the morning to change it.
Work with us.
Yeah,
Okay,
she said there's no issue with it,
okay.
so we just need to decide the dates.
I'm good every day next week except for the 20th, that's election day.
True.
Of this month?
Next
Yeah,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
How much notice do we have to give?
You talking about Tuesday the 20th?
I would,
Yes.
if we gonna go with
That was
Tuesday, I would prefer the 27th.
Elections.
You
If-
prefer what? I'm sorry.
If we're gonna do a Tuesday, I would prefer the 27th, which gives me time to cancel my engagement.
That gives us time to work it on it too.
That's 27th may be bad for me.
Oh,
You
shoot,
said
I
the
keep
whole-
forgetting that.
I'll tell you what.
What about the 29th, that Thursday? You said the whole week is bad for you?
It may be.
How-
It's not set
Okay,
in
let's
stone
look
yet,
at
so I can
September,
say
the
that.
beginning of September. We got the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. Oh, not Thursday, because no Thursday or Saturday.
So next week is bad? It's not
Danielle, how much notice do we have to give for a budget meeting? Or work?
There's case law that says that for a specially called meeting, 72 hours notice is.
It's a workshop. It's not.
That's what I said, but
And-
it's still gonna have
we'll still notice it because it's still a public meeting, but no action is going to be taken, which results in like loosened requirements. But the stay safe and stay up and up is 72 hours.
So if we did it next week, that'd be, we still have sufficient time.
Yes. What, the 20th?
Madam Mayor, it's not good for you next week.
No, Tuesday was not, Thursday. Huh? Oh, Thursday for him.
Wednesday? What about next Monday?
The 19th? It's not bad for me. I know that that's the grand opening for the sheriff, so are they gonna be out of there? Are we gonna do it there or are we gonna do it here?
We had the sheriff's dedication at the community center at 3 o'clock that day.
So is it, so for the budget, are we doing the meeting here or are we, okay. So if we're doing it here, by 6 o'clock it should be fine?
Yeah. I'm good with the 19th, that's my anniversary. I'll be good.
The 19th?
I ain't gonna nobody celebrate with.
That's memories.
I'm good.
That's you, okay. We go. So the 19th is good for everybody? Monday coming?
Madam Mayor, can I ask the accountant, does that give you time, Cindy?
Not in the middle of an audit, no, but for a workshop, it's fine.
Again, it's just providing us information to make decisions.
Sorry, Cindy.
Oh, no, that's all right, it's just a workshop, it's pretty much what
Right.
you have now, that I can't add until I know what you want.
Okay, thank you. And we're gonna do that here,
6 p.m., Madam Mayor.
6 p.m.
Madam Mayor,
If I remember, yes.
do you also want to set a date for the September hearing on it while you have a captive audience?
We can do that. All right, y'all, let's look at the calendar again.
So by charter, our meeting on the 9th, we're good. By charter, it's the second Monday of the month, so we're good with the batch plan then.
Right, that'll just be a normal, that'll just be, it'll be a switch because it'll feel like it's got special meeting material and we're bumping your regular meeting stuff to another meeting, but the 9th is fine, it's
Yeah, so what if we then, could we have it the week before?
a special meeting.
The special meeting for the budget?
Mhm.
Right, yeah. Well, I don't know. Which is the second, the third, or the fourth, because
That will give us one workshop, and then the public meeting, and then we've got time.
You have Labor Day, folks.
oh, shoot, and that's the second.
So I recommend that the budget hearing be in the middle of September after the 9th meeting.
Okay. So do you have a calendar in front of
ma'am.
you? Okay.
But I'm open except for Saturdays
and Thursday.
Thursdays.
Okay.
For a special called
So-
budget hearing meeting.
The 9th is the second Monday.
That's our
We
CUP.
could go to the third Monday, which is the 16th,
Now remember,
or,
when are we doing the workshop? Is that what we're talking about now?
No, that's
no,
August
the
19th.
workshop, we said the 19th.
Is our workshop to take this information sheet and have our discussion.
And then the 9th is the regular meeting and the, batch plan. And then, so, do we want to go to the next Monday or
That's fine with me.
I'm available on Monday, the 16th.
the
For the
16th?
budget hearing
All right,
special call
budget.
meeting.
6 o'clock.
Which will be at the community center, correct? Because we're moving everything over there
Correct. So that one would be at the community center.
for the 9th.
Huh? No, not, the 9th is also, thank you. The 9th and the 16th.
The 16th, September 16th at 6 p.m. in the community
Looks like
center.
we have one.
Yeah, I thought we had to have two public.
I don't think they've gotten that far. I think
That's
we're
what,
over the.
that's what we're asking
second
about
one
the
is
trim
the budget
notice.
hearing.
And she's getting an extension, so we have as much time as we did last year, so that we can
I think it was the first week in October.
make sure we have, huh?
I think we did it first week in October.
Yes. Last year, we did it the first week in October for the extension that was allowed, so. just to give us time and input from the citizens.
So we do have to have two public meetings on the budget, plus the workshop.
The workshop's not required, that's something that you all,
Right,
yes,
I'm asking
yes.
for that.
Yes, I am too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the 19th at 6.
Budget workshop.
Budget workshop here, August 19th, which is next week. Then we have the regular meeting on the 9th, which would be at the community center. And then we have the budget hearing meeting the 16th at the community center.
The first one.
Yes. We good
I'm good.
so far?
Well, I'm good with the dates.
That's me too. I have them in here, so I won't schedule anything else on it. All right.
Do we want
Where's
to
my
discuss
paper?
the second budget hearing?
We
Date?
can, we can,
Tentatively?
we did not, but
Can it be on the, in the meeting, well, it's got to be done in September. So what's the week after the 16th?
1
7
minute,
days
I'm
later would be
changing
the
everything
23rd.
else out.
It can be the 23rd or the 30th.
Let's do the 23rd.
Yeah.
There had to be so many days between.
Yeah, I think the 30th is gonna be your better option.
Okay.
Day off.
That's a Monday as well.
That we wait on the second one until we find out from whether or not they're gonna give us the extension or not.
Okay.
And then when that is.
I'm just tentatively making sure we're prepared for that,
Okay.
is my recommendation. But
So we want to make the 30th a tentative date?
that's my recommendation, and then we can move that if we have availability. So.
Okay. All right, do I need to go back over these dates?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Please.
Next week, August 19th, 6 o'clock, and that meeting will be here, budget workshop, 6 o'clock. Then September, we have September 16th, budget hearing, 6 o'clock. This one would be at the community center. And then September 30th is tentatively September 30th, 6 o'clock. We didn't say, would that one also be there because we have to have the second okay.
You're gonna have
So-
to have that second hearing in October there, so you might as well just leave it there.
All right. So those are the dates. And I skipped September 9th, which is our regular meeting, which would also be at the community center. So that is August 19th, 6 o'clock here, September 9th at the community center, September 16th at the community center, and September 30th at the community center, all at 6 o'clock. We're good with the dates.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
for Mr. Hammond, on the website, we always have the location for where the meetings are. It would probably be advantageous to change that sooner rather than later, given that we're holding it somewhere other than the normal spot. I know that September 9th is already calendared on there, so if we can go in and change the location, just to give folks as much advance notice as possible.
All right. Okay. Any questions, commissioners? We good? All right.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, just for clarification, all of these meetings we'll have Zoom availability because we're moving the YouTube to the Archer Community Center, correct? The workshop will be here, but then we will move the YouTube.
We'll have YouTube
instruments
capability.
over there.
Yes.
And just keep them over there, don't we?
We have,
Well, I already, my motion
yeah, his
said to
motion was
have
that
IT
we have it there,
staff
period.
present to make sure it's working. I mean, thank you. Thank you, Madam.
You're welcome. All right, let's move forward. Resolution, item 2, resolution number 2024-17.
Madam Mayor, this is resolution number 2024-17, a resolution of the City of Archer, Florida, requiring all contracts to go through the City Attorney's Office prior to presentation to the City Commission, providing for conflict severability and an effective date. And I believe you all tabled this at the last meeting, Madam Mayor, but the thought is essentially to ensure that all contracts go through the City Attorney's Office and also amend our, may I use yours as the sheets that you all have that say currently, Commissioner action, open for discussion, public comments, approved by City Attorney's Office on such and such date. That way you have a stopgap of that it went through our office, that we've seen it and approved it. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
are you gonna read the resolution, or can I just make a motion? Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
move, Madam Mayor.
It was a very short title.
Second.
Thank you. So we had a motion by Commissioner Hope and a second by Commissioner White.
I was thinking about something else.
Any discussion on the motion? No? Public discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 3, resolution number 2024-18.
Madam Mayor, this is resolution number 2024-18, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Archer, Florida, adopting a travel policy, repealing all prior policies in conflict, repealing all resolutions in conflict, and providing for an effective date. I believe this is also one that you all tabled from last meeting.
We did.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve resolution 2024-18.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner White. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Green. Any commissioner discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'm gonna urge all of our, especially the new commissioner, to read this in its entirety. And also our employees need a copy of it. Because it does, yeah. I wasn't aware that meal tips were the only tips that were allowed. I'm good.
Thank you. Public discussion on the motion. Seeing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 4, resolution number 2024-20.
Madam Mayor, this is resolution number 2024-20, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Archer approving an amendment to the traffic signal maintenance and compensation agreement between the City of Archer and the State of Florida Department of Transportation, authorizing the city manager to execute the amendment to the agreement, providing the City of Archer accepts the responsibilities outlined in the attached amended agreement, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Hope and a second by Commissioner White. Any commissioner comments, questions, response? No? All right, public comments on the motion. Commissioner White? No? All right, then, let's go to a vote, everyone. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. Tony, reports, correspondence, communication, and your manager's report.
City manager's report. First item is the overtime report. You have that attached to the back of my report. Item number 2 is the food drive. The next food drive is going to be on the 20th of August. Then the 2 food drives for September is September the 3rd and September the 17th. Code violations this past July, we had one at 16653 Southwest 134th Avenue was accumulated yard debris. And another one was 13733 Southwest 167th Terrace was an overgrown yard. The magistrate's class or cases that were supposed to go before the magistrate on the 5th of August have been referred to the 5th of September, I believe it is now. We have 5 cases that will be going before the magistrate. 17145 Southwest 128th Place, which is an overgrown yard, which is a repeat offender. 17557 Southwest 129th Avenue, which is an unsafe building and overgrown yard. 17209 Southwest 127th. This is the Willie Brown issue. The attorney and I have talked about this morning. We've got to redo this under an unsafe building ordinance. Then there's another one, the 17259 Southwest 127th Place, unlicensed inoperable vehicle. And 16377 Southwest County Road 346. This is another unsafe building, trash and debris, overgrown yard. Item 4, Sheriff Gainey and the Alachua County Sheriff's Office will be here doing a grand opening ceremony on 3 p.m. on the 19th at the Community Center, dedicating their new substation. They're requesting City Commission, as many of the City Commission as possible, to attend it, and it'll be open to the public. They'll be serving refreshments after the grand opening. We have submitted all the required documents to Alachua County to reclaim the $10,000 special events bonus for the Red, White, and Boom event. And item 6 is a list of all the items that Public Works has done over the last last month. During the storm, they spent a lot of time taking down some trees that had fallen, and a lot of branches and debris that they had picked up over the streets and things of that nature. The second item, you'll see there were some questions and answers from the July 8th and the 15th meeting. I responded to those. The first one was, I'll brief on this with the request about the code or the LDC plan. The grant that Allison has put in for is only going to do a small portion of that. It's not going to be capable of doing the entire grant, but she can do that if we want to have her work with the group to do update the whole entire LDC plan. Or it's also something that the North Florida Regional Planning Commission can do. But what she has done is only going to address things that are dealing with water and wastewater. So it's a very small portion of our project.
Can I interrupt for just?
Yeah, of course.
We also, on the land development, Alachua County reached out to us too, didn't they? And said that their zoning, I know you got one of the emails from them. And I think we all got one.
What number are you on? What page? And
It's talking about Alice,
yeah, Alachua County zoning administrator, I think it was the zoning administrator, got with all of us and said Mary Alfred sent it, I think, and said that they would get with us, they would help us. They were at our disposal if we needed them on the land development code, and,
Yeah, I do remember that.
so we have that.
Call her and talk to her.
You should have gotten that email.
I think I might have forwarded it to you, Tony, because I do remember that part, once you said that. And it was from Mary, or it
Yeah.
was either from her or from her office.
It was,
Can't
yeah, it
remember.
was from Mary, and she had been in touch with them, so.
I'll call her and
So,
talk to her.
I mean, if they're at our disposal, let's use them.
Item number 2 is talking about Willie Brown's trailer, and we've already talked a little bit about that one. The first issue was that we addressed it under chapter 12, and it was unsafe buildings and things of that nature, and we really got to address it under hazardous buildings, and we're just gonna have to go through the whole process again, but it's a much quicker process. And Danielle and I are working on that right now, so we'll start working with that. It'll actually go before the magistrate again in the September meeting. We've already addressed the CSX property.
Madam Mayor, if I could, Tony, so if it goes before the magistrate, how does that expedite the ability for us to take control of that property
I'll
and do
let
something?
Danielle explain it to you.
I'm sorry, yeah, could you just give me
No, not at all.
10,000 feet?
So the previous magistrate action that was brought forth is just sitting on the property like a lien, similar to the Roosters or any other overgrown yard. You all now have a provision in your code that allows you to demolish buildings that are deemed hazardous or hazardous lands. Obviously, that part of the code didn't exist when you did your original magistrate hearing on this, so it just allowed you to put a lien against it.
Okay.
So realistically, you've got two options. You can foreclose on lien A, or you can kind of create lien B. Lien B is created once you demolish the property. You then put a lien on the property for the cost of the demolishing.
Okay,
So then at that point, you can foreclose on not one but two liens,
okay.
and you can
The cost.
you can recoup the cost of the demolishing and also that original lien that's been sitting there for however many years.
Thank you.
But the concern was the foreclosure, is we don't want it to drag out in the legal process, whereas this allows Mr. Hammond to go in and demolish the building, and then we put a
Provide
lien on
safety
it.
and then
Exactly.
recoup the cost for that. Okay. Thank you.
Item 6 was talking, Commissioner Hope was asking about the policies that we presented. We presented several policies to the attorneys to look at. We already did one of them. The last two they have right now is one on the credit card and one on the cell phone. Let's see, item number 8 asks for the city properties that were listed, that are available for, up for sale and auction. I did provide each of you a list of those properties, and you've already approved the list of properties that can be sold, and there's not a whole lot of them. The majority of what is out there is really small parcels that are not conducive to building anything on. Some of the larger parcels are identified as parcels for lift stations. Danielle and I are working on some of the parcel that the church has been dedicated to the church and things of that nature. Let's see.
To that end, Madam Mayor, you'll likely see an MOU next month, essentially doing what we did here tonight. You know, if you're gonna cut out the portion that's gotta go to the lift station, we're gonna have a survey done. So it'll just be, the MOU will come before you likely next month, just authorizing us to go out, get the survey, to figure out what portion of the property is gonna get conveyed to the church.
Item 9 asks for a list of events for the rest of the historical data on events for the rest of the year. I'll provide that to you at the September meeting. Commissioner White asked us to contact Lacey Holtz about some trees, and I'm talking to her about that also. And we have addressed the issue about the CSX property. And then the last portion of it is I did provide you a copy of what Allison provided me as far as her explanation on what the grant that she actually put in for will cover. And the last portion of this thing is the public works and the admin and the attorney to-do list of what they've done and where we're at with those progress on each of those items that they're working on. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, attorney's report.
We discussed Willie Brown. That was the big one that I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. One of the other things that I wanted to touch, actually there's two things. Commissioner liaisons is one thing, so don't let me forget that. But before I do that, I know there was discussion about whether or not Mr. Hammond should go to one of those conferences, the trainings. There was discussion about not allowing him to go. I do want to flag for you all that in his contract, you have specifically authorized him to go to, which conference is it?
It's actually.
The one that's about to come up?
What is it, ICMA?
Right, so those three, so just flagging for you that you're contractually obligated to allow him to go to those three.
Let's go to all three of them, but they are required for certification to keep my certification up with the ICMA.
And then the commissioner liaisons, I know that there was a question about why we don't do it anymore, why don't we do it? When you all went to a city manager form of government in your charter, you expressly permit the city manager to oversee all operations. And the problem when you start to have city commissioner liaisons is that it very quickly becomes a slippery slope of the commissioner liaison speaking directly to staff. And then they're giving instruction, and they're not supposed to be giving instruction. So you very quickly get crosswise with your charter. So I know that Mayor Bailey had inquired, she had memory of at one point Scott Walker saying, you really shouldn't, and that's why you really shouldn't. We just had the same discussion in High Springs of whether you should, whether you shouldn't. It's not that you can't, it's just that it's not advisable, is kind of the city attorney's office take on that.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all from me, unless there's any questions.
Questions? No?
I do.
Yes.
Danielle, and I understand you all not advising against it, because I'm sure it could almost become micromanaging. However, it's also a help to the manager, because he doesn't have to attend every single meeting. It can be a meeting with me in this group, or Commissioner Hope in that group, and then bring it back to the commission. So I can understand the pros and the cons, but we've had it since, I guess we've always had a city manager form of government, but we've always had it.
Well, and I know we giggle about it, but I really am just an advisor. At the end of the day, you all are the governing body. You go whatever direction you want, and I'll defend it no matter what happens. That just is my thought, my 2 cents, that's all.
Well, thank you.
Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hope.
I just continue to represent Archer in the North Central Florida Planning Council monthly on the executive council as well as the full council. And I act as the appointed chair this year. So for whatever that is, Archer should be proud that we have representation in chairship.
We are proud.
Oh. And by the way, for travel, that's part of our $7,000. I get a meal and I get travel reimbursement through the fee we pay, not me having to file a report each time. So, other than that, I do appreciate Mr. Hammond's the city taking responsibility for Old Bertha. For those that know where I live, it's one of the last few laurel oaks planted by the Quakers or whatever on the corner. It's gone. She was listing and leaning, and I know Miss Green was worried, oh my God, that tree's going to fall, because when it went to 60 degrees. So anyway, it was safely taken down. And Lacey Holworts, just through requesting, she loves planting trees as the county arborist, trying to be not a tree hugger, but do the appropriate thing. They came back and they planted 2 little gem magnolias on Magnolia Street right there on the right of way, going down Magnolia Street. So
Can't be too many more of those trees left, are there?
She says she's got more. She wanted to know if we wanted to plant one where Big Bertha was. I said, no. The tree that's gonna go there, I'm talking now, but
So
my wife has already decided the tree that's gonna go there, it's called yesterday, today, and tomorrow. For those that know that kind of tree that blooms, and it loves the sun, so it only gets 25 feet high. It's not gonna be a road blind spot or whatever, but she's adamant. She said that's what's going in that hole. That hole where that tree was is now about 8.5, 9 feet deep. So it keeps sinking. That old tree's been there a long time.
We had one that fell on Archer Trail. It was almost as big as that tree.
Oh my goodness.
And it went across the entire trail. And our mind thought was that it belongs to the county. The county's mind thought is, no, it's
No,
yours.
that's that mile and a half that is.
So we're gonna get it when we get a chance to, because it's bigger than anything we've got to handle.
Is it across the
It's
road?
across the entire, it's blocked the whole road. But it's this big around.
What do the bicyclists do?
And crawl under it.
Go across.
Crawl under it.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Commissioner Hope, did you,
That's all, other than the other thing. It was funny for a couple of weeks, the squirrels and the birds were so confused.
you didn't
They
know
were
where to
on the
go?
power lines, they were on the tree across the road, they were just, that tree's hit it a lot of times, so poor animals were confused. That's all I had before.
Okay, so my question is, did you ask for the 2 magnolia trees,
No,
or
that's
those, or that was the
I did say
choice
that was historically known as Magnolia Street.
Okay,
there's
and so she put
already-
the
There used to
magnolias.
be 5 along there, and there's only 1 on the property now, or on the right of way. That we manage or whatever, my wife says it's gonna go through the bedrooms or whatever, but anyway, so she committed to plant the little gems. They only get 25 feet, but they do provide shade and they bloom prolifically.
And they smell good. All right, Commissioner Green.
No, I don't really have anything to report. I'm going to continue serving on the Archer School SAC committee. And I wanted to ask, is it okay? I'm going to look into maybe trying to donate some backpacks for Saturday, if that would be okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look into that.
I'm
Into
sure
my
the
church
kids will be
donating some
happy
backpacks,
for
okay.
that.
Who did we get with on that? Because I've got about 3 that I'm filling with stuff, and I know it's not a lot, but
Who do you get with?
yeah, do I give them to you?
You can, or you can
just
bring
bring
them
'em.
up here to the city hall
Okay.
and I can get them.
Because I've got 3 that I have filled with stuff, and I said I'll just give them to somebody that needs them, but I'll.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it? That's all you have
Yes.
there? Okay, you can turn that back off. Commissioner White?
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have anything, I don't think, except I have questions on them.
Oh, yeah. See, I can't reach her.
The city sign going toward Williston, the south end, the city sign that you have, you want to redo it.
Yes.
Lori said she had asked for a receipt. You told her there was no receipt for it.
Correct.
Do we have an invoice or anything saying how much it's gonna cost?
Oh, she's gone.
Yeah, she's gone.
She's got, I asked Cindy, she said this is a guy that we've used all the time. And she told him what we needed, and he said he would fix it and send it to us when he's done with it. And that's
And we
all
don't know what it's gonna cost?
She told me what's the same price that they normally paid for them. I don't remember what it was.
And see, I really feel like we need to have some type of contract for anything we have done. But anyway, the gas log she's asked for, there's, and I guess she asked Deanna and was told that there was 1 month, the whole month is missing except for like 1 entry on gas logs.
Well, I'll check that out.
Yeah, you can ask Deanna. Deanna, I'm almost sure, got the public record request, and Calvin told her he didn't have it.
All right.
You said you would check the data usage in the last month.
I did. There.
Oh, there she goes.
Cindy, Can you tell Commissioner White about the
Sign.
City sign.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's the same people that did the Wilson Robinson sign. And it'll be comparable, according to him, as that sign, which was like $350. Then, of course, we had to, buy the post and mount it, but it should be under $500 total. And he's doing 2.
But we have nothing guaranteeing us that that's what it's gonna be.
Well, he hasn't presented it yet, so when he sends it to me.
But he's got the sign?
No, the sign's at the shop.
Okay, 'cause
Yeah,
that's where the confusion is coming in.
It's faded. And
All right.
the other one got destroyed by a dump truck. So the one from Newberry's been missing for like 2 years. And we were gonna replace it, and things just got crazy. But that one got destroyed when the dump truck flipped there.
So we will have an
Correct.
invoice or.
Right, and when he
Okay.
sends it over, he usually does an estimate on how much it's gonna cost total. But he's making it the same way he made that one, and it's over aluminum versus pressed wood.
Okay, as long as we know, okay.
Can you explain to her about the data usage at Public Works too, please?
The data usage? I'm confused about the data usage myself, because they haven't had a Wi-Fi, MiFi, which is the only thing that has data usage on it, in a long time, like months and months. Like before I had my surgery, months. So I will look into that, but they've had regular internet, which does not have a daily usage.
So there would be no reason for them to have the high Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's not even on, and I don't understand why it's.
Okay.
Do you remember what the date was that you were looking at?
No.
You don't?
No.
There was a time
have to
that
look
when they
back.
did have it, that it was open in the police department or the sheriff's department
And
would
the
use it.
park, and everybody used it.
Because it was an open, kind of like
It was just left on.
Hotspot.
hotspot, and they would sit out there and use it even on the weekends.
Okay. How long? And it was at the, 'cause I even thought maybe it was the camera, and, it was at, Maddox, not at Wilson Robinson. So, okay.
Before we leave that, so does that mean when we have the substation, that's gonna be a hot spot and it's gonna have that kind of activity? Just so we're on
No,
the
I can tell you no. We already paid for Wi-Fi we paid for actually fiber at the community center
It's
already.
unlimited and-
Correct,
yeah,
just
it's not
like
the
it
same
is.
system. Okay, I'm just speculating, thank you.
I think that's all my question. Yeah.
Wait, interrupt us anytime.
And I will tell you on the signs too, that the
Your time.
rules and regulations for the playgrounds, we ordered brand new ones of those because one at Wilson or Maddox Park had been broken, and the county printed new ones for us on aluminum, and those were ready today, so we'll be picking those up this week and replacing one at Wilson Robinson and Maddox Park.
I'll let you know by the end of the week. On the gas log that's missing.
Yes, please do.
I will let you know by the end of the week the gas logs that are missing, and also the data usage when that was.
Please do.
I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, microphone, please.
Let's see. I didn't really do a lot. I did go to a back to school event for We Soar. That was in Williston, but some Archer residents do attend. And if you don't know what We Soar is, it's an organization that teaches our youth how to play different instruments. They give keyboard lessons, drum lessons, and they just do a lot for the community. So I went to that. And also the YMCA, which I'm a part of that board. I went to theirs the same day, which was Saturday. That afternoon, they had it really wasn't excuse me, back to school. They just had something for the kids for an event. That they had different games and a lot of youth coming out. Also, I talked to the mayor of Newberry, which we're on the opioid task force together, and we're getting ready to have some events for that also. And what else? Oh, I missed my YMCA meeting again this month because we had a meeting here, so I didn't get to log on or I didn't get to go. So that's it. That's all I done.
All righty then. Well, I do have a Florida League of Mayors board meeting. I think it's Friday. It's the 15th or 16th, but it's the end of this week that I will be attending. Also on Saturday, as I've already mentioned, we have the community event down at the Wilson Robinson Park. I have been mentoring a new mayor. She's from Flagler Beach. Similar size as Archer. And September, we were supposed to do a town hall meeting, and I think that is what I was saying about maybe we could do all of the updates with Felicity and Allison on that date. And I think Felicity was good with coming and presenting her information. I haven't heard from Allison yet, so I need to reach back out to her. However, tonight we just scheduled a lot of meetings for September.
Last year you did it in October.
Yeah, I was thinking that we might just need to move on to October. And we may need to move on to October. Now, when I talked to Shane Andrews, the superintendent for the schools, he told me I need to do it on a Thursday night. And Thursday is bad for you?
That's all right.
But I do want the superintendent to come because he has not shown up yet. So in that case, we can tentatively say, October 3rd, since we have so much going on in September. So is October 3rd okay, good for you guys for a town hall meeting? All right, and I'm going to reach back out to Allison. She's usually very supportive of Archer. I know she's had a lot of changes recently, so I'll reach back out to her. Maybe she'll be available for that date. And I also shoot Felicity another email and let her know. So if they both are able to come and do that, then we will really be looking at what has been approved, what is in the process, what we have going as far as infrastructure goes. And then after those two are done presenting, if there are any other questions or comments, then we can do those as well. All right?
I have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I have been speaking to people and put it on Facebook that I would like to do trunk or treat again this year down at the park.
That's a good idea.
I'm gonna be asking just for volunteers, those that wanna set a table up, churches, organizations. Madam Commissioner,
Do you want to do it
Green?
on the weekend? You want to do it the
We're gonna do it
weekend or
Halloween
on that
night.
day? Okay.
I think Halloween night falls on a Saturday.
No, ma'am, it's a Thursday.
I almost sure we did it on Halloween night, but I'll let you know for sure at the next meeting, okay? But,
It was Saturday last time. It might have been Halloween. I think it was on Saturday last time, wasn't it?
I think we're gonna do it on
remember.
Halloween night.
Yeah.
Just
Thursday's
because that's the point of it, is to bring our kids back home. to a safe environment.
Right.
One we know. But anyway, I've had one church reach out and say they wanted to participate. They're the ones that always do. And then I've had a couple of people that have said, count me in, a few. So hopefully it's not going to cost the city anything. I'm not going to ask for anything. But we've had two people that have said that they would do the food. Calvin's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Robinson, yeah.
Yeah, her name.
I can't think of it.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but
It was a
anyway.
success and well attended last year.
Uh-huh. You know,
Yeah,
everybody,
there was, and
we love it,
was fun.
everybody
It
loved
was
it,
a
yeah.
safe
And,
place for a fall festival.
That's what I said, it brings the kids back home.
Yep.
And then another lady's gonna do candy apples and stuff, so we have, and they're from here, and that's what, I wanna keep it us, a community. So, that's where we're at, and I'll let you know more next month.
All right, I like it. All right, that's it for y'all. All right, then, we're going to the last public comment. Please state your name, you have 3 minutes.
Bill Lewandowski, I have a couple of things. Number one is, I believe that the city attorney and maybe Mr. Hope during the budget meeting had said something about an expert at the CUP. Would you mind explaining that?
The city's retained an expert to testify for the city as to whether or not the CUP meets the requirements of our code.
Okay.
Because we don't have planning staff. Most cities have planning staff, so you have an internal planner. But given that the city doesn't, we hired a planner.
Okay, so you hired a planner who was going to be representing, instead of what normally would happen with the, I'm pointing to Mr. Hammond, that's not correct. But okay, so normally there is a planner who represents whether or not the staff recommendations. That individual is
Correct.
taking that spot?
And typically, Mr. Hammond fills that role, but given the nature of the batch plan and the complexity of the issue, we hired someone who's certified in planning to do it.
Okay, can we get that information on who that is?
Sure, Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas. Where is he from?
He was the planner for the city of Newbury for over 20 years.
Thomas, okay. Okay, great, thank you. Next thing is in regards to the, Mr. Hammond's report in regards to the land development code. So one of the concerns that I've expressed, and if you, I think you've been paying attention in the city, a lot of people have this concern in regards to what is exactly in the land development code, where things go, that type of thing. So the, Allison is not going to address any of that stuff. So what we really need is to harmonize what's in the comprehensive plan with our current land use ordinances. I think everybody agreed that that's something that has to be looked at. We need to do that, please. We need to do that, we need to plan it, we need to make it happen. I will offer my services, I'll be happy to facilitate the meetings, no cost. So I'll put the meetings together, I'll sort it, I will, within my capability, present what's in the code, and I will ask people for their opinions. I want to be proactive and positive about this, because people just don't know. A lot of people think that you can put all types of commercial stuff over at the Maddox property. Our code doesn't support that. So people don't understand. We need to tell them. I will volunteer, my wife's going to kill me when I get home, I will volunteer to assist in doing that and facilitating the meetings. Okay? The last thing is Charter Commission. So have you made a decision on the charter? Have you got the members in place? What are the timelines for that?
We did make a decision, we gave you the list. I know you've been gone forever.
I know, I'm
Hope you
sorry.
enjoyed yourself, you're good.
Would you believe it wasn't on vacation? They make me do other stuff.
Oh,
I
man.
know, it's awful. Candidly, I don't know the status of it. I can look into it and send an email tomorrow.
Okay, all right, so, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Lewandowski, thank you for the offer, and I do think we need to take him up on that offer because we don't get that kind of stuff all the time, and I appreciate it. So
Happy to help.
I'm going to make a motion that we accept his offer and move forward. Did I confuse you?
Madam Mayor, may I recommend that we reach out to North Central Florida Planning Council master planners that create our comp plan with all of the zoning specifications to be a part of that?
I'm good with that.
Sandra Joseph, Ms. Yeager. I can reach Scott and make sure
Coons.
that,
Right, isn't that what his last name is?
yeah, Scott Coons, who is the executive administrator, and we pay for those services just to assist in.
I will work with anybody. I'm happy to work with
I'm
them.
not trying to control you at all, Mr. Lewandowski. I just know that we don't need to recreate the whole wheel when there are outlines of things that can expedite this that are already present.
Yeah, no.
And get their recommendations, you know.
Yeah, and my part, so I'm not going to try to say that I'm going to write the law and the code. You have paid people who do that. What I want to do is make sure that, number one, people understand what's in the code, talk about the table, the table of uses, that type of stuff, so they really understand, because a lot of people just don't. When you say that a concrete batch plant has to have a conditional use permit, people don't understand what that really means, or that we took away almost all the conditional use permit requirements for industry. They don't understand that, so we need to explain that to them, explain what those impacts are, and get their opinion on how we should move forward. And it really ties into what is the vision for economic development. It's sort of those goals and those missions and goals and visions. Some of that stuff was all talked about when you did the visioning statement for the comprehensive plan, but that's kind of it's gone away somewhere into the ether, because we did the comprehensive plan, we got a land development code that's not on there. So I will be happy to work with anybody you guys want to put up. Not a problem. I'll work with anybody. Thank you.
Then I will amend my motion to ask Mr. Lewandowski to accept his offer and to work with the,
It's also
Yes.
Allison McGrath who helped do all of our land development code charts and all that. Those two are just available.
Keep in mind that Allison McGrath is a solo practitioner now, though, so
Right.
I don't want to assume charity on her behalf. I don't know.
No, I'm not
what-
stating that. I just
Yeah.
think that those two resources should be included in
well,
this.
and Alachua County reached out too, so, I don't, but I don't know if you want to work with everybody in the
I'll work with anybody.
state.
So we have a motion. Is there a second? You sure? You sure? Because you were so reluctant. You making a second? Golly.
Yeah.
Okay, because I put your name down here. All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner White and a second by Vice Mayor. Any discussion? What's your apprehension?
I just want to make who's all gonna be on the board to do this planning.
Is it
Is it the names that
North Central
Commissioner-
Florida,
Right.
Allison, maybe?
That would be a resource
Okay.
professional that would be available and present.
Lewandowski.
And then also consider
Yeah. I just wanted
Allison
to be.
McGrath, who helped
I wanted to
design
be
those
well
for fee-for-service if we
rounded.
get to that point.
Because I don't want someone to come back and said, we had favoritism because of this one person is
They
That's the
might.
professionalism,
Yeah.
just for his research.
pro
that
and
they're
con.
involved
We
in,
need
that
someone with
neutralizes-
all the pros and cons against.
The citizens will have an input in it also. I mean, all of our citizens will have
Right.
input in it.
I just
So
want,
if they get left out, it's on them.
I just wanted to be well-rounded. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Public discussion on or comment on the motion?
Madam Mayor, I don't quite understand when the vice mayor seconded and you turned around and asked her, are you sure? What did that mean?
It meant, was she sure? Because I could see she had a question and she halfway said second. So I was making sure she was saying
Well,
she was seconding
I heard her
it.
very clear when she said second and you turned.
And then
around
she
said, "Are you
checked, then
sure?"
she said, well, So, exactly.
I did.
Yeah, and if she wanted to withdraw her second and somebody else wanted to, then I was gonna give them that opportunity. Thank you so much. Anybody else? You had a question, comment? Or you, Ms. Fiore, yeah? Or you were just?
You're still in your motion, I'm waiting for the next one.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, no other discussion on the motion? All right, let's go to a vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carried. 5-0.
Good afternoon again, Karen Fiore. So my tax dollars pay for the city manager's contract, which includes travel and memberships and a pretty good salary for a small town like Archer on a budget of only a little over $1 million. It's very small. And he made a comment that, you know, it has to keep in line, keep up with his certification with ICMA. There's no city manager that would have the certifications and those such memberships or whatever that would allow your agenda to specifically say propose FY24-25 budget. You would never use that language and then associate it with this document. This document is not a budget, as we mentioned before, but there's so many things wrong with the fact that this was even put out in public, that your city manager approved this. Your budget as a commission and a city manager is like one of the most most important things as a city that you must do every year. In the beginning of the year, the first couple of months of the year, your city manager should be advising the commission, we need to set a budget calendar. So you're not sitting in the middle of August trying to figure out when you're going to do your first, second, and your workshops. That is not acceptable. That is totally not acceptable. And I'm going to quickly go through some of the things that I found out with the expenditures. And I hope you don't cut me off at 3 minutes because we talked about roosters for more than 3 minutes. So the FICA and Medicare taxes on here. This is another formula. This should be almost exact. You have a budget, then you apply your formula, and you come up with your tax dollars. These are just plugs. These are nothing, no math was associated with this. Travel for commission. How can the travel be exactly the same for FY24 actuals and FY23 actuals? I don't see how that's even possible. Memberships and subscriptions. We are now going up to $2,500 on this line item, but we are historically spending around $350. Why? If we had explanations for these items in a normal presentation on a budget, we would know these answers instead of me having to dig in each line and try to ask these questions. We have a donation line here, and there was actuals in 23 for almost $12,000. On a small budget of $1 million, I can't imagine why we're giving donations out to anyone in that kind of magnitude. You have it in your expense line.
Don't interrupt her.
Donations.
You have 30 seconds left. Keep going.
The retirement is not factored correctly. The formula is not right on there. The cemetery water, it's 0 for 24. Why is that even possible? The street salaries, again, the FICA is not calculated right. Your road and street repair for 24, you have a $35,000 budget, but you have 0 in your actuals. Well, my road needs repairing, so you can use all that $35,000 for my road. Dog park, I never heard of a dog park, but we have a budget here. We have the revenues and expenditures.
So that is your 3 minutes?
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm going to keep going.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You are done. Mr. Tufano did less than 3. The commissioners talked to him after he was done. Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. Charles Tufano. I would like to give Mrs. Fiore another 3 minutes. I think it's that important.
That is fine. You don't have the power to give her 3 minutes. That's what the rules are. The rules are we have 3 minutes. So she had her 3 minutes, and that's it. Somebody else can speak now.
Okay.
So, I mean.
And I'd like her to speak for me.
Madam Mayor, we have made exceptions in the past several times for several people. And if he's willing to give his 3 minutes up for her to
Yes.
finish,
I think
then
it's
I
important.
think that's great.
Okay, he came up and he said he would like for us to give her 3 more minutes. That, he's not saying, he did say the second time she could use his time,
That's
but
what he
that's not
said.
what he said
He
first.
said, I'll relinquish
that's
my
what-
3 minutes.
Okay.
If I misunderstood, please, would you continue? I think it's that important for the commissioners to understand how bad the situation is.
I think we do, but go ahead.
I'll only be about another minute. So the garden club utilities and maintenance, we have a budget for this. Granted, it's not a large budget, but what is that? Why are we paying for anything like that? There's a line item here called Emerus Equipment Loan and Interest, and the description says it's half funded through the general fund. I don't see any line item within the general fund that matches that same description. So I'm curious, where is that other half of that? I think it's $11,000, I believe. And then the solid waste contract, how in '24, there's only $57,000 listed in actuals, but then the FY '25 proposed goes up by 56%. Are we saying that that contract went up 56% for '25? I don't think it did, perhaps it did, but again, if we had labeled everything and I knew that the '24 actuals were the full 12 months, perhaps it's only 6 months. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Are you coming?
Good evening. Lisette, resident. So I just wanted to follow on the budget format spreadsheet that was published online. It just doesn't look good to put information out like that. It was difficult to read. It was handwritten on it. You weren't really sure which side was up, but it just doesn't bode well for a city, a body, an organization, a group, a team. I could never turn that in at work. I couldn't turn that in as homework in school. So it just, and I know we all get it, like we all get it that it's not working, but we need to do something. I mean, something, because it's just insulting, really, for citizens to go on the website and download this sheet and just try to figure out, okay, we're going to talk about this tonight. What is it going to happen? This is a budget. How do I figure this out? So I looked at what you had 2 years ago. It was so much easier to read. There were headings. So just to follow up on that. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is the water bill has some notes at the bottom. Is it possible to add some notes there for the meetings that are coming up?
Yes, they do, and she's yelling through the back that they do that all the time.
That's wonderful, thank you. I just noticed the other day and I hadn't noticed it before. The other thing I wanted to just mention regarding the travel policy, like I know you had a travel policy before, but I don't know that it was followed. So what is different now that we know that's going to be enforced, that is going to be followed? So just to put it out there, that just because it changed doesn't mean that, I mean, what else is going to change?
I think that's going to depend on city staff, and I'm not going to interrupt.
And then finally is, so we were talking about oversight, we were talking about maybe some liaisons, and that idea didn't take off. And, the city manager has a lot of power, but who oversees the city manager? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, what was her name again? Ma'am, for your input, thank you. What was your name again? I'm sorry. What?
Lisette.
Lisette, thank you.
Thank you.
Funny, I want to talk about oversight. I actually called this afternoon because at last meeting, you guys tabled it for discussion for this meeting, and I didn't see it on the agenda. So I talked to Deanna, and she told me that she was told to take it off the agenda because this attorney was going to speak to it tonight.
What was that you?
On the oversight? from that, so it was taken off. And I don't know why it was taken off. The attorney can speak to it anyway. So I think it should be put back on.
I didn't remove it from
No, Deanna said she was told to take it off. I didn't ask her who told her to take it off. That was just what she told me. But
It was never on the agenda.
okay, it should have been.
So,
But anyway, it keeps being referred to as liaison. You have liaison right now. Any citizen, any employee can go to any one of you at any time. Oversight is not liaison. Oversight is someone overseeing an individual business line department within the city, working with the city manager and them are in lockstep on the financials and the operations of that area. Every meeting we've come to for the last 6 months that I've been coming, every meeting we find something that slipped through the cracks that oversight would have prevented. Not liaison, oversight. It's completely, they're two different distinct things and it keeps getting merged into one. You have liaison today. You already have that. Anyone, and the other point I make about oversight, it's not managing any department, any employee. It's working with the city manager to ensure things that need to be done in each area of the business of the city is done. So I'd like to see it brought back at the next non-cement plant public meeting for a discussion and to see if we can move forward. Because everything we're hearing and a lot of the stuff we're hearing tonight about finance could have been avoided if someone other than the city manager or the accountant or her office manager were the only ones looking at it. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
thank you.
My name's Sharon Williams. Most of you all know me. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sitting back in the corner and I just really don't understand. And you're really gonna have to help me with this, the commissioners. It is responsibility of the city manager to oversee this budget, am I correct? Maybe I'm wrong. Who's responsible? Is it just the accountant? I'm asking a question, so if that's my 3 minutes, somebody please help me.
Is that your only question? Because is that your?
I may have others, depending on what you say.
Okay. Yes, that is, it is his, part of his job is also part of ours.
Oh, no. So the budget is presented to you as a overall. And doesn't that come from the city manager and the accounting? Is that, I just want to understand this process. Maybe I'm missing something.
You say, does it come from them?
Okay, where does the budget come? I mean, the budget should have been worked on prior to Friday, whenever y'all got it. When did y'all get it, first of all?
Probably Friday.
Friday, okay. I heard the manager say that he had not read it. Did I not hear that additionally when you asked some questions earlier
He got it
from the
Friday.
beginning?
He said he got it Friday. I didn't hear him say he did.
But you presented it to go over and to actually vote on it tonight?
No, we're not, no.
Oh, y'all gonna vote on it tonight?
No, we
Oh,
have
okay.
budget work, that's the reason we have the budget workshop to look at all of that, and we make changes, we have suggestions and all of that.
Okay, I apologize, because I really thought, listening back here, because what I'm seeing, I agree with you, Fletcher. I don't know what this was, or what was presented. I have never seen a budget anywhere looking like this before. I'm the vice president of my HOA. We do budgets every year. I have been in other positions. And this has to be, Madam Chair, Mayor, this, we gotta correct it. This is really, we got some issues here. So I appreciate you listening to me. And again, all y'all know me except a few. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, again, that is not a budget. And I think that the mistake was listing it the way that it was listed, because we all know that the information was given because we got to go in and have our budget workshops and talk about it. I think Commissioner Hope is the one that asked to have previous years on one paper so that it kind of gives us an idea about what we were looking at and what we had. And so I think that is fairly new, correct, Commissioner Hope, having like 3 to 5 years on the same one?
In the past, we've had comparisons to last year.
Okay.
And the variance to
But,
last year.
yes, and that's probably why you noticed that we didn't say a lot. Commissioner Hope did say that, he said before, but maybe it wasn't understood, that this is not the budget. It is a reference for us. And we always have the budget workshop and hearings. I do think, and I have attempted, for us to do a calendar at the beginning of the year. We kind of started one at the beginning of the year, but it didn't work, I guess.
To get everything, I mean,
So that we know when we're gonna do things and what's coming up.
Exactly.
Because for me, it's just easier, because it's a lot that goes on. But it's been my experience, even before Tony, that this is the time of year that they are scheduled. The budget meetings are scheduled between, well, it was anywhere between July and August. So that has not been uncommon for Archer since I've been here. And yeah, so rest assured, it's not the budget. But thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Roberta Lopez, I just want to say that there are some staff people who thought it was a budget. And that's what I heard today. Anyway, I want to go over this. I don't know if y'all saw the bills tonight, but there's a little piece of paper in your thing that it says we just spent another $8,150 for the fireworks. That's something that maybe we want to eliminate next year, because I think that's only half of it and part of it and not all of it. Also on the bills, there's a line item here that has Archer Automotive and Tire. There's no description whatsoever, but it cost $741.84. I mean, that was what was paid. So why wouldn't somebody just put that in that line item and say, what did they go to automotive for and spend that kind of money? That's a big chunk of money, $641. And then fuel, of course, we spent another $951.78. So the other thing I wanted to address is the assignments. Up until 2010, when a new commissioner and new managers and all these people dropped in here, we had used the system where the commissioners were assigned to work with the different departments. It worked well under your boss. Nothing was ever said about something was going wrong and it was micromanaging or nothing, because we handled it well. But when that group of people came in here, they made it bad for everybody else. That's when things so it depends on your administration, your management, how things are run, and that's what happened. That's what happened here. Because we ran that system for years and we were so helpful to the commissioners and the manager and all of that. But everything just got turned around, and that is not right for you or anybody to have taken that off of the agenda. It should have stayed on there no matter who was going to report on there, because it was old business from the last time. Any old business is supposed to be transferred over, not to say somebody else is going to report on it. So that was totally wrong. So anyway, look at your bills and see what you have, and and I also am requesting from Mr. Hammond, I wanna know what that automotive was for 600 and something, and they didn't even write it on the line. They got everything else lined up, so why they left that out? What did we buy? Did we buy a set of tires for my car?
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. All right. Any more public comment? All right, meeting adjourned at 8:42. Have a great night.